Are you new to the Poshmark platform, or maybe you need a little refresher on how to increase your listing visibility? Then this is the video for you. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Daniela and I am a clothing reseller on various online platforms like Poshmark and eBay and The RealReal. But in today's video, we are talking about Poshmark. And the focus of this video today is how you can improve your Poshmark listings. There are lots of tips and tricks out there. I wanted to just compile my thoughts on it and give you the top 5 ways that you can improve your listings, especially if you're new to the platform, that will help improve your chances of making a sale. So the first tip that I want to share with all of you, and it's probably the most important tip out of all 5, is you are not optimizing your title. Now, what does this mean? So on all different types of platforms, whether it be YouTube, Reddit, you name it, any social media type platform takes words that are in your title, your captions, your descriptions, and utilizes it within Google search. Well, the same thing is true on Poshmark. So if your title lacks descriptive words, the name of the item, all of those components, your item will not be seen, whether it is on the platform itself or in Google. One thing that's important to remember is that the items that you are listing on Poshmark and eBay and Mercari and all of those sites are searchable in Google. They're optimized for Google Shopping. So if you're listing, for example, a red blouse that is by the brand J. Crew, it is important to do the following. You need to make sure that you're including the brand in your title. So you want to start it off with J. Crew. Next, you either want to use a type of word that will describe the item. So you may do J. Crew red, or you might not do a color and do J. Crew button up. Something that's going to describe the item that you have. My title, for example, might look like J. Crew red button-up blouse. So I've got the type of item, the color of the item, I'm using a descriptive word, using button-up, and I have the brand. All of these things are searchable within Google, and they're also able to be searched within Poshmark. Someone might go into Poshmark or Google and just type in J. Crew red blouse or J. Crew button up. And they might not specify that they want red, or they might not specify that it has to be a certain style of button up, but those general words might be used. Think about when you're searching for something, whether it's on Google or within the app itself. What are you searching for? What words do you type in? These are the things you need to be thinking about when you're creating your title for your listing. The same holds true to anything that you do. So when you're in YouTube, what is it that you're searching? It's usually a specific how-to video or top 5 or worst or best. Like those are the things that you're usually looking for, right? Well, in Poshmark, what is a buyer who's looking to purchase either an article of clothing or a pair of shoes or an accessory? What is it that they would look for? So that's the way you should be thinking about all this. What words are going to be helpful to get my item to be found? So it's kind of a basic way of explaining it. There's so much more that goes into search engine optimization, but you need to make sure that your title is searchable and that those keywords that people will be looking for will be in there. The second thing that can go 2 ways is overpricing or underpricing your item. So your listing might be optimized, your title might be great, and people can find it, but you've either underpriced your item and people are afraid to buy from you because why is this item so cheap? Or you've overpriced it and people are just going to bypass it completely and not even bother to look or send you an offer. Does this hold true every time? No. Sometimes you'll get people that will see it's an item that you have listed is $5 and they're going to buy it, no questions asked. Then you'll have other people that will look at it and they'll question why it's so cheap. I hate to say that word, but they'll question why the price is so low. And if you overprice an item, someone might look at it and say, what is this person thinking? I would never pay $50 for this. It's not even new with tags. Or someone might think, oh, they want $50. I can't even send them an offer. They might get offended if I send them an offer for $20. You need to find that middle ground with your items. That doesn't mean that you can't include a little bit of inflation in your price, and that doesn't mean you can't price it lower because you only want to double your money. Pricing is really up to you, but you need to be mindful of the extremes on both ends. Do your research. Look and see what other people have bought the item for. See if it's on sale on the website. All these different things. You can't, I shouldn't say that. You can just list items and not do any research. That's totally possible. But the way that I have found success, I'll speak to myself personally, is to take each item that I am selling and do the back work and research on it so that I get a better understanding of what the market is like, and I know how I can price my item to ensure that I make a sale within the first couple of weeks of me listing, maybe sooner, maybe a little bit later, but I give myself a good 30 to 60 days to sell an item before I start to reevaluate and maybe mark the item down or send some aggressive offers, or maybe pull it completely and it's just not worth me selling myself. So definitely look at your pricing. It can play a part in your listings, just not being seen by buyers. The third thing that I think I'm so guilty of sometimes, and I think it's because of the Poshmark platform itself, which I'll go into, is you are not filling out the categories and subcategories that are made available within your listing. So when you're creating a listing in Poshmark, you're given a whole bunch of different subcategories that you should be entering in. So style, size, quantity, brand, is it new at tag? So all these different things. So I'll put that right here so you guys can see what it looks like if you're new to the app and you've never seen it before. It is important, I would almost say crucial, for you to fill all of this out. Reason being is when you are in Google, we'll use Google as an example, Google is pulling all of that, this is all called metadata, so they're pulling all of that metadata and they are incorporating that within their SEO processing, search engine optimization, right? It's included in all of that. So you're searching for something, it's pulling all of your metadata from your listing and it's putting it in front of your potential buyer. If you are not filling out these categories and if you are negating the fact that, like, I don't think it's important, like, I mean, do I really need to put a subcategory in there? Like, I'll just put it jeans and call it a day. You can do that. But if someone is very specific in their search and they're saying, I want to find Madewell, high rise, distressed, raw hem, like, and they're putting all these different things in, you need to make sure you're somehow incorporating all of these possible key terms in your description and title if you're not going to put it in your category. See what I mean? Like, if the categories are there for you to use, then you should probably use them. Now here's my gripe. Poshmark does not have a ton of subcategories within major categories. There are times that I go into the jackets and blazer category and I'm filtering through and there's some good options on there and they've added a lot. I have to say, over the last year, they've added quite a bit, but there are still some subcategories that just don't make it on their list, and maybe they will eventually. This is where eBay kind of has more flexibility with that. If you're cross-listing or if you're listing on eBay, then you know you have more range of different things that you can choose. So that's nice. You can get more metadata out of a listing when you have more categories you can choose from and subcategories. The other thing about Poshmark is their color feature is very limited. It is the basic colors that you would anticipate to be on a list. But let's say you have something that's burgundy. It's not really red, but it's not really purple, but those are the only two options that you have. Not the best for optimization. You do the best that you can, and sometimes I leave it blank because I just can't put pink or purple, or I can't put tan because it's not really tan, but it's not white, it's cream. Well, there is no option for cream. So there's a lot of that hinders your ability in Poshmark to really give good metadata, but this is where your description and title really come into play. So yes, fill out all your categories and subcategories the best that you can, and whatever you can't put into those areas, then you need to make sure you're putting it into your description and title so that at least Google has something that they can pull from if your categories can't be filled out. So that is your third tip. Your fourth tip here on how to improve your Poshmark listings is your photos. Maybe your photos just aren't captivating enough. Maybe they're really dark. Maybe they're really yellow. Maybe you're not taking great photos of the item itself. Maybe you cut off a portion of the item. Or maybe you're not showing enough details within the item itself that would make someone want to click the Buy Now button or Offer button, but we like a Buy Now. So what do? My recommendation is go to other Poshmark sellers' closets and check out how they do their listings. Check out how they do their photos. Go on YouTube. You're on the perfect platform right now. Check out and see how other people take photos. You will find tons of free information out there. Maybe you look up some different photography tips on YouTube or on Google or on Reddit, or I mean, there's all these different forums. There's blogs, there's everything. Do a little bit of homework. See how you can improve. Yes, you can buy a lighting kit of some sort. You can buy a ring light. You can buy all these different fancy gadgets. But if you're new, I don't recommend you do that. I think it's great to just get the basics down and photograph the best that you can. Buy some daylight bulbs, maybe grab a couple of lamps, and that will be your setup. Natural light, which is what I'm using right now, is the best. Hard to do. I live in New England, so once it hits to a certain time in fall and winter, I can't film and I can't take pictures. I have to use my ring light. So a lot of it is timing. Making sure it's the right time of day that you can take photos and they'll look great. Maybe it's the wall that you're using. Maybe you have like a green or yellow or blue wall, or you have an off-white like this, so it always has a little bit of a yellow hue to it. Maybe you invest in, I don't know, a shower curtain or something that's white and you put it on the back. You don't have to get fancy. You don't have to paint your wall. There's different ways for you to do this. For me personally, something that I like to do is when I photograph my shoes and my handbags, or accessories for that matter, I have a poster board and I bought adhesive marble stickers. I'll link it down below. It is a big long adhesive, like a shelf liner, and I put that on the poster board, and that's what I use for my photos, for my shoes and my handbags, and that's just something that I like to do. You don't have to do that. You can use just a white background, but I like to use the marble accent. So I'll link that stuff down below, just a regular poster board at Dollar Tree, and then Amazon or Walmart, one or the other. You can get some type of adhesive shelf liner and put that on there, and you have a more professional looking photo. So there's not much you can do if you're on a budget, right? But you do the best that you can and you make it work, and just do your homework on what types of photos seem to do well, which resellers are successful with their photos, and go from there. You can always make it your own. If you like to do pretty flat lays, go ahead. I caution you to, when you do stuff like that, make sure it's not too busy, because your photo may not get optimized to the top of the list when Google is maybe pulling all the same items that are like yours. So if you have a pair of Coach boots and you have them all nicely laid out in a flat lay and there's like necklaces everywhere and leaves and all that fun stuff, they're beautiful to look at. I love a good flat lay, but Google doesn't always love that. If someone has a white background, black background, something that there's a contrast with your item that you're trying to show, they're going to pull that item first because it's easier for them to dictate this is what the buyer is looking for. So just keep that in mind. And of course, do your research if you don't take my word for it. You can either Google your own items and see if it comes up, or just Google in Coach Boots and see what comes up, or do some research on SEO and Google optimization. You'll find lots of content here on YouTube as well about that, and learn a little bit more about it. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm not going to say I'm an expert. I just have some knowledge in it, and I know as a buyer myself, if I'm looking for things, if the item isn't clear, the photo isn't great, I'm probably going to bypass it and not even bother to make an offer or purchase. So think of yourself as a buyer and the things that you would look for in a photo when you're purchasing an item. Now, the fifth item I've talked about at great lengths here today, but I really want to hone in on this and drive home the point that if your description lacks data that is necessary for the buyer, so that means size, condition, features that the item has. Maybe it was a blogger favorite, or maybe it was something that a celebrity wore. Incorporate all of this within your description. A lot of people do bypass a description. It is true. You could put everything in there and someone will just look at the pictures and still ask you a question in the comments. That's just part of business, and being a good business owner, you're going to provide that customer service and reiterate what is in the description, and then you can always tell them, hey, everything is listed in the description. If you have any other questions, look through the description, and then if you do need some additional insight, just let me know. Like, always have that open communication there. But it is important to use that space. I'm not saying you have to use all the characters, but there should be enough there that the individual will be able to know what it is that they're buying. One tip that I do have is your title that you have optimized in the title section of Poshmark. You can also transpose that title into your description and maybe add a little bit of extra words in there that you couldn't fit into your title, because you are limited on what you can put in a Poshmark title. You can put way more in an eBay title than you can in Poshmark. So my recommendation, and something that I do often is, or I should say all the time, not just often, is I take the title, I transpose it, and I add in some extra words, and then I move on into my description portion of my listing. It's great for search engines, and it's great for your buyer. So these are my 5 tips. I hope this was helpful. It's very comprehensive, but especially if you're new, these are things that you may not know or you may not understand about platforms and how Google works. Most of my sales, I'm sorry if you guys hear that. That's my cat. Most of my sales come from Google shoppers. And how you would know this is when you go to look at the label, it will say like random letters. It will say like GHXWX1257. Like, it's just random. It's not really a username. Typically, that's a Google shopper. Or you'll see that someone will come from Google, make a Poshmark account just to buy your item, and then that's it. They have no other sales. They haven't bought anything else. They don't have any followers. Like, they're brand new to the platform. That's typically someone who's found your item and they've come on to purchase, and maybe they'll repurchase from you or from other sellers as well. So this information that I'm providing may not be rocket science, but it's things that I think all of us should revisit and review. As time goes on, we get a little lazy. I know I do sometimes. And even when I was writing out this list, I went back to my own listings and made sure that I had stuff that was optimized. Am I actually following my own advice that I'm giving people on YouTube? And there were quite a few listings I had to go back and I had to change things. I am always looking at my pricing. Sometimes I overprice. Sometimes I underprice, and I try to find a middle ground, but it happens. So I always revisit all of these things that I've shared with you today. It's just good business practice. It helps you grow as a seller, and hopefully it helps your business grow as well. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any other tips and tricks that you like to share with the community on what you find is helpful to improve your Poshmark listings, leave that down below. I would love to have that conversation and see what you guys have to say. And as always, thank you for joining me on another video. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.